Mary Murphy, senior editor for Realty Times, Women in Business, Women in Real Estate in the men's room with Murph. But today we're definitely in Women in Real Estate. And I am so honored to have the super guest, the dynamic duo, the impossibly fabulous team of Christy Buck and Samantha Knoerr. They are from Pearland, Texas, right outside of Houston. And they absolutely have nailed how to manage this market. Now, Christy, you have been around, you're the president and owner, and you started your real estate company when?
1999.
Oh my goodness, that is enough of a time, but you've been in real estate for 24 years.
24 years.
And I know the story is magnificent if you haven't heard it in some of our previous interviews with her and Samantha, literally starting with a folding table in the dining room. And how many agents and what's the size of your business today? Because it's always changing.
So we're at about 25 total team members. So that's agents and admin combined.
Yeah, well, and here's her secret weapon sitting right next to her is Samantha Knoerr. And they're both, by the way, mothers. And so it's not like they only just do real estate. They have lives and they do have fun because I've been down there and Bling is the middle name. If you're in Texas, Bling is the middle name. I look so plain there. But I must tell you, the story that I want to share today with you is some real discovery, some real insights in how you can manage this new market. It's not really a new market. It's the market. And Christy, since you and I've been in the business for such a long time, I know from my interviews and from some of my coaching clients that it's not their fault, but they've never had a market like this. And so, of course, Samantha comes up with this incredibly detailed, down to the nanosecond process for pumping up business regardless of the market. Why don't you tell me some of the different things that you're doing with your team, A, to keep them motivated, B, to keep them profitable, and C, to keep them productive?
Absolutely. So we realized probably 3 months ago, with all the changes in the market, Terry, that we finally had to make some hard decisions and some changes, always continuing to think, well, when the market picks up, we're properly staffed. When things change, and they just weren't changing as fast and rapidly as we needed them to change. So we had to make some hard choices, which was teaching agents how to hunt. So many of them have been in the business that the low-hanging fruit has been what kept them in business. So really being super intentional, going back to what we know works, and spending a lot of time one-on-one with the agents. We've had to cross-train admin, give admin a much heavier workload, make sure that when they are here, that they're super, super busy rather than busy. So there's a difference, right?
Oh, yeah.
Realizing what they can handle. So Samantha, just as she's done for 15 years, working beside me and being the COO, she's amazing. We all know that across the United States. And go ahead.
No, she absolutely has. And it's not because she's just an amazing person, an incredible mom, and wildly disciplined. She always looks that good, by the way, kids. It's her ability to break things down to the tiniest steps, the detail of details. Now, can I just share that she is the queen of all things agile? The woman has an agile. If you don't know what that is, she'll tell you in a second, but literally for grocery shopping, raising her children, potty training, I'm sure, because that's how she rolls. But the beauty of the mix, and we go back to behavioral styles, is that with you as the high driver and her as the high analytical, man, that is a beautiful combination because it gives a new strength and confidence to leadership. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yes. Where I am the visionary and come in and say, Samantha, this is what we need to happen. She doesn't just make it happen. She micro makes it happen. Right. So
it's a beautiful way to put it. Yes.
It's so detailed and it's so broken down and spelled out that we don't have agents tripping up saying, well, we didn't know to do that part. Right. Because she's broken it down to such a high level. So I do the data dump. She breaks it down. Then she, we meet, talk about where she needs me to step in, go out, do the training, do the driving, do the push, but she breaks it down to such a just, I mean, when we said, okay, we have to step it up, just looking at what she broke down is amazing. I mean, and then we implement.
My favorite quote of yours is, "We got to do a tighten up," which is definitely Texas, by the way. And I love that. But I have a question for Samantha. I mean, I'd like to get into some of the details. And just so if y'all don't know, their core values are real. They are instilled in every moment of their business. So it's not just something on the wall, you know, and one of our hopes. And to me, the one that really stood out was stability, because what you're doing is giving the stability for consistent income and stability in leadership, because you're always upping up the game. Would that be accurate, Samantha? Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, absolutely. I think stability, our biggest focus with our team is how to make things even. You know, real estate is such an up and down market. It's one month it's super busy, the other month it falls short. So we're trying to create consistency here within the team so that everybody always knows buyer agents are closing 2 transactions a month. Our listing agents, ideally 5 to 7 a month, would be key. And it's every little activity that we're doing that's going to keep them there. And we realized, like Christy said, about 3 months there, we were a little stagnant in our numbers. They weren't growing, they were going backwards. When we took a dive in, we were not doing the consistent things that made us successful previous. And with the market shift, we had to pause and we had to completely revamp it and do it totally different than we ever were able to get away with before.
Well, can I just share? I mean, I want to get a couple of fun ideas. I mean, like the cup thing, I thought was terrific. Samantha, though, you're as operations manager, but Christy, you've actually been face to face with these agents in their face. And I don't mean like in a militant way, but in a totally support way. Where can we push you forward? Where do you need the help? And you've got 25 agents. So you're like hands-on. Would that be accurate? Tell me how you do that.
So this is what I do, Terry. We have a big office. So I will just go out what I call the middle area. I'm going to be working in the middle area. So whoever wants me to work with them, I'll be there from this time to this time these days. And, it's consistent who's going to show up. And then we just start going through their leads. And I might go through 5 or 10 and tell them, you need to do this, you need to do this. And then the next 10, I'm like, what else could you do with this one? What else could you do with this one? So I'm developing them on how to think outside of just the action, the next to do, right? Because we realized our agents are checking off to do's as far as nurturing their clients rather than nurturing their clients.
Oh, I hope you heard that. Okay, it's not the to-do list. It's not the daily success habits, check, check, check. It's actual engagement. Connections first, but they give you the engagement. You're saying to them, there's a big difference. Would that be accurate?
100%.
Wow. And so managers out there, broker team members, she is literally their Sherpa, helping them and doing it incrementally, Samantha, with 10, 10, 10. They can't get lost in the weeds, correct?
Correct.
And
Right.
we seasoned agents, we oldies, as I like to say, we know that there is a power in consistency, because you just don't wake up one day and go, hey, hun, let's move. I mean, you just very rarely. So it's a process, which means there's an investment of relationship, which means there's investment of trust, which is, by the way, on your core values. So I really appreciate that. But I got to ask Samantha. So that we have literally, 177 lines? No, 100, like basically, I'm going through her spreadsheet, by the way, kids. 113 lines, a couple of blanks. Let's just say 100 of everything. I mean, every little thing. So, I mean, it starts off with define what quantity. You actually say, what's your target? What's your focus? And in this case, you said for 4 listing agents, 15 appointments each. Well, that helps somebody, Catherine Ross, who's one of is with Workman as well. She said, I just say, how many appointments do you have? Do you have 2? Do you have 2? Do you have 2? And obviously that works. And by the way, Christy, here you are at this pinnacle of success. I mean, if I read you her full bio, which you can read, by the way, on the site, I mean, we've done 1,100 square foot building. Remember that's pretty far from a folding table, by the way.
11,000.
Yeah.
11,000, sorry, did I need glasses, sorry. Doing incredible work, especially in the area. I mean, I remember when we had the floods there and you were doing the water delivery. I mean, you're high-end community, you do all of these things, and yet you don't stop. In other words, there is no top, there is no, ceiling. And here you are being hands-on, helping your clients and your customers, and your agents helping your clients and customers in a time that's really needs some confidence. And so when you break it down to how many appointments you want, I mean, and you get coached. I mean, how long have you been coaching with Workman?
10 years.
Okay, so for those of you who think you only need
11 years.
Yeah, if you think you only have to coach for a couple of years, what would you say about that?
I'll never stop coaching. I mean, the pro football teams don't fire their coaches after they win the Super Bowl, right? I mean, we will never stop needing help. And sometimes it's just going back, being accountable to going back to the basics, what got you here to start with. And we never, ever get on a coaching call that we don't run out of time with new questions.
Oh, well, and then, I know who your coach is. So yes, that would be so totally true. And by the way, he won't share you with anyone, but you talk about to-dos, you talk about, in part of, in your core values is this whole thing about development. And you talk about watching Andrew's listing class in Boomtown as a beginner. Tell us some of the tiny details that people would be impressed with. I just want to give you one, and can I share that one? It's get a clear goal from each agent and break down, assuming 70% sign rate, 65% sell rate. How do you come up with those numbers, dear girl? I flunked fractions.
So going through, our agents do their My Perfect Week and their daily success habits. So I'm able to track what they want to do versus what they're actually doing. And then we can come up with what their conversion rate is. And then I always scale it back a little bit more. I'd rather assume it's 65% instead of going with 70, because I need the numbers bigger, right? If we set the numbers too low and we don't hit them, that's a problem. So we always aim a little bit stronger there. And then it's able to give us a clear goal. Like, we know we want to have 65 and pending at all times. When you run these numbers and we have to have 60 listing appointments, that conversion rate brings us to 42 actual signed agreements, which then 27 closed listings. You take 1.5%, 1.5 times buy side close, it's going to give us 40 buyers, which gets us to 67 closings a month in a perfect world. So it gets us right back where we need to be at that 65. So I think also just making sure it aligns with your goals as well is very helpful. And then we can break it down daily. Yesterday, we know each listing agent has to do 15 appointments a month. I can divide that weekly. Yesterday alone, they set 5 listing appointments and we celebrate it. I'm like, okay, we hit 5 today. Now we need 10 more for the rest of the week. And it just helps when you can break things down smaller. It feels less overwhelming than going to them and saying, we need to get 60 this month.
Isn't she just amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
numbers roll off her tongue.
I know. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, I got to write this down. I mean, but it's true. But how often do you meet with them to make sure that everybody's on track?
So we meet every morning with the team. We huddle every single morning. Right now, because we're doing this big listing push, we have our huddle separated. We're meeting with the listing agent and then the sales managers meeting with our buyer agents. But every single day we're meeting. We have a designated meeting every single week where it's at least an hour where we're diving further into this. The agents have homework they're bringing each week. Then it goes to the admin and so on. Everybody knows what they should be doing and they're held accountable in those huddles.
So just for the purpose of people who are outside of the way you run your business, my planned week, I call it my planned week, we call it my perfect week, but that's where you actually block the dollar productive activities. And then that gets translated to daily. And then we have the daily success habits. All, by the way, you can go to workmansuccess.com and get, because we share them everywhere. And this is not about Workman. This is about how you've taken direction, coaching, inspiration and broken it down. And one of the things you have is a call night for the listing team, one night during the week. And what happens there?
So we all get together and we come up with our goal, how many conversations they each need to have, how many appointments we need to set. Then we break into our rooms, they start making their calls. Christy and I will be there listening to their conversations.
She has it more broke down than that, not just their calls, but are we gonna work expireds and terminateds tonight? Are we going to just call through boom towns,
Top
listing,
50.
yeah, top 50, listing prospects? So everybody's very clear instructions on where their calls or where they're gonna work from.
I want to inject here too that one of the line items is the transaction tracker on Wednesday before it begins to see the actual numbers. Now, a lot of people have leads and they keep them in their CRM, but they don't have a process for prioritizing them or for the type of conversations that you have or the touches that you have. And yet you need to know, where are they coming from, right? Because I know how wildly accurate you are on budgeting for the return on the investment of each lead and the conversion time. God, that's a full-time job, isn't it, Samantha?
Yes, it is, and some.
What are contracts and coffee?
So it's a subscription that we pay for. It's called Contracts and Coffee. And it's just a ton of marketing ideas and things that we create more engagement on social media.
All right, so clearly this is a full day, actually 3-day seminar. I know that you have your 7-figure ride along where people can actually see how you get your people manage to show up at the huddles, actually physically out loud read the core values, because it's really ingrained in the culture of what you do and how you do it. And I don't know that there's a better example out there. And I've made 1,100 interviews. So, and the other thing is thankful. I just want to close with gratitude, because I know how serious that is for you.
Yes, we talk about thankful and what we're grateful for every single day. So, a part of our core values, we always ask, who has a grateful today? What are you grateful for? And sometimes you just come in and you've been knocked down or lost deals, multiple offers, and it just helps, I think, bring everybody back to what are we grateful for? We have so much to be grateful for.
That's 2 of them, my opinion. Optimism, grounded in unity. People are looking for leadership because they want the confidence, not because they want to be a follower, but because they have they're instilled with the fact that the decisions you make are based on the same values they have. You've done a remarkable job. And as a woman in business who struggled from the beginning, I mean, it wasn't like you had a silver platter that was either one of you. Single moms doing phenomenal work in your community, and for empowering your team to do what they do best, and your commitment to being their best selves. If you have any referrals to Pearland, Texas, which is outside of Houston, tell us the area that you serve.
So we serve pretty much Conroe all the way south. So Conroe, Texas, south, all the way to Galveston.
Well, I would say if y'all are listening, you better sign up for her 7-figure ride along. Wear your bling, because even the stapler is blingy there. It's so much fun. You want to be with you because of the joy and the power that you instill for self-development and for your team being their best you. I hope you'll join us again for another segment on Realty Times News, Realty Times TV, especially for women in real estate and women in business. And of course, I've just asked you if you'll do our leadership series, which is coming up. I love that I get to hang with smart women just like you. Thanks so much for joining us today. Join us again for another segment of Realty Times News. And I'm Terry Murphy. I hope to see you there.